Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our weekly Q&A live stream. The first of the summer, you could say the last of the season. I don't know how to word it. It's a real weird one. It's the first one I've done since our Scottish Cup final loss on Saturday, so I'm sure we've got a few things to catch up on in regards to that. But ultimately, this is it now. It's the summer. It's the hectic, wild summer that's about to begin. I'm expecting we'll see a few faces leave the club. We'll see a few faces join the club. We're in for a busy one, I think, this summer. A lot busier than what I initially anticipated, maybe even 2 months ago. So we're probably going to try and cover all grounds tonight. I, of course, already made a video today in regards to a couple of the transfer stories which are doing the rounds, and we might cover that same ground. But happy summer, everybody. It's nice to see you. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It's nice to see you piling all in. I would like to say a big quick thank you to Ross, who became a channel member before the stream started tonight. So thank you, Ross, and welcome to the club. What can I say? But disappointment after Saturday. It ended the season on a bit of a sour note, but not one that, as I said in my video following the next day, not one that's going to make me lose sleep, not one that's ruined the entire perception of the season. I think it's just one of those ones that it'll give us more encouragement and motivation to go on next year and win the treble, or at least try and compete for a treble again, and to just ultimately improve. I think that Brendan Rodgers entering the last year of his contract is going to have a huge year ahead of him. So let's use it as motivation. Let's not dwell on it. You can't win them all. And I've seen, when you see the chart laid out of the teams that have won trophies in this country, in particular from the year 2012, we're going to look back in that in 10, 20 years' time and go, what was all the fuss about? Like, what were we moaning about? Somebody worded it very well like that on Twitter over the past couple of days. So, listen, we'll cover all grounds. Tonight is more about your questions more than anything. However, we do have a bit of news about when Celtic return to action when the summer is coming to an end in regards to pre-season friendlies, in regards to returning to training, their warm weather training camp as well. So we do have details as to when we expect Celtic back in action, when we'll have our football back. Because I know some of you will be struggling without it for the next few weeks. So Celtic will return for pre-season on the 1st of July, Tuesday the 1st of July 2025. That's when Kieran Tierney will also become a Celtic player officially. His contract expires on the 30th of June. So we return to training on the 1st of July and the new season will begin. Players have got time off until then. Some will have holidays. Some have a national duty, of course, for World Cup qualifiers, but the majority with time off. We will return to Lennoxtown then, but then we will fly south to Portugal. We'll go down there, the Mediterranean, for an 8-day warm weather camp. So the team will be playing over there. And then they will also be playing over in Italy. Celtic will be playing a mini tournament in Como, which is very, very exciting if you can afford it. Sadly, I can't. I've always wanted to go to Como. I've got a busy summer ahead of me, so I won't be there. And we have already our first 5 friendlies announced, and I would assume this will be it for the friendly schedule. I don't think we'll have any more. So thank you to 67 Hail who have laid it out beautifully on a nice wee tidy graphic, and I'm going to bump it off them for this stream while giving them all the credit they deserve. Here are the 5 friendlies that Celtic are announcing, starting from their return to training date of July 1st. The first will come on July 8th. That's Celtic's return in Ireland when we play Cork City. Over there, a kick-off of 6 o'clock. That will be televised on Celtic TV, I believe. I think that's where they said you can catch that. After that, we head over to Portugal. We'll play Sporting in a friendly game. Date to be confirmed. Stadium to be confirmed. Now, what I'm saying is, what an opportunity this would be for Celtic to pick up a game at the Estadio Nacional. I don't know if that's even possible, but it's still a game, apparently, that's going to be happening. According to The Sun, Celtic will play Sporting, Como and Ajax. So that one will be played well over in Portugal. Then we return to Celtic Park for a game on July 19th. We take on Newcastle United in the very controversial Adidas Cup that has been announced. And then we finish off our friendlies with a game against Como in the Stadio Giuseppe Sinigaglia on between July 24th and July 26th, and then we'll finish off against Ajax of all teams alongside that same couple of dates. Stadio Giuseppe Sirigaglia again over in Como, Italy, before returning for what will be the start of our domestic campaign and our European qualifiers, or Champions League qualifiers to be precise. They will commence just a week or two after this. So in the league season will probably start the weekend after this as well. So this will probably be it for Celtic's friendly schedule. I don't expect to see many surprise announcements, any more games announced at Celtic Park. I think this will probably be it. If they squeeze something else in, we'll wait and see. But I think this will be it for the pre-season preparations. And of course, as we said, the Como and Ajax games are part of a mini tournament hosted by Como. It will be played between 24th and the 26th. You can buy tickets for the game against Cork City. You can buy tickets for the game against Newcastle United, but no details have been given as to how you buy tickets for the games in Como yet. The game against Sporting will probably be behind closed doors. So that's when Celtic will return to action. But until then, we have a summer of madness. We have so many transfer rumours that will come and go between those dates. And that started with, of course, today. If we didn't see it already, I posted a video earlier on the channel with the links to the Japanese left back from Djurgårdens, and of course the big Serbian centre half from Crvena Zvezda as well. It's all starting. I wouldn't say that today's ones are anything to get too intrigued by. I don't think they'll amount to too much. However, they are there, and it suggests that Celtic are planning on starting their business sometime soon. What I will say is, remember last year, I took a little trip down memory lane and scrolled through my content last night just to see what I'd done last summer and what I could do better or what I could do similarly to last summer, because last summer was a very successful summer for myself. So I was having a look, and remember how long it took for Celtic to make a signing? It was crazy. I think that Kasper Schmeichel ended up coming in and being our first signing, and that was quite late in the window, it felt like. And then it kind of started got the ball rolling. We've seen Paulo Bernardo quickly follow, and then Adam Ida had to force through the move from Norwich. Then the bulk of signings are made right at the end. McCowan, Engels, Trusty. They all kind of came in towards deadline day. So I'm hoping we don't get a repeat of that last year. However, not to spin any negatives on it, the only thing that I am nervous about and the thing that gets me a little bit worried is the fact that we don't have that guaranteed Champions League football. And we won't be guaranteed Champions League football until closer to the transfer deadline. I'm hoping that doesn't put anybody off in regards to signing for the club. I do not want to have to wait for the big signings till we've qualified for the competition. I hope we can do enough to persuade them and convince them that we are going to qualify. We do have the seeded route, which is nice, fantastic. So hopefully players are confident enough of their move to Celtic to be playing in the Champions League. But, it's just a wee thing to keep in consideration if you're wondering how it might take so long for certain players to sign. So it's all about you tonight. It's the first time we've caught up here since the defeat in the Scottish Cup final on Saturday. So I want all of your questions. I want all of your points. And let's just get cooking for tonight's live stream over the next 20 or so minutes. I'll catch up with you guys. I'll get all your questions. It can be about absolutely anything. So thank you for tuning in. We have almost got 200 live viewers right now. So let's start with Ross too. I think we'll get Lennon Miller. I've heard rumours, and they're not anything too credible to go by. I've heard rumours that Lennon Miller might be meeting with Brendan Rodgers. Not to confirm any signings or anything like that. I've just heard that there's rumours about it. Now, as I say, I can't reveal my sources or anything. A journalist never reveals his sources, but it's nothing that I would take as gospel. I just warn you straight out the gates. I wouldn't say that I'm anywhere near certain that Lennon Miller would become a Celtic player, even if there was truth in meetings with Brendan Rodgers. I think that that's just courteous of him to do that, whether his intentions lie with Celtic or not. He knows that there's heavy interest. He knows that Celtic have been following him, and he knows that Brendan Rodgers will be an admirer. So I do believe that there might be truth in Lennon Miller speaking to Celtic and speaking to the manager. Whether or not it leads to signing the player, that's no guarantee. So do I think we'll get him? I wouldn't put my eggs in that basket, but I hope we get him, Ross. And I know it's quite of a flimsy answer to give you. I know it's not, it's filled with any certainty, but it's just too hard to tell. I guess we need to wait and see who the clubs are that are interested and want him. In regards to that, I did see that we got a comment from Mark saying, I think that the Lennon Miller ship has sailed. We had our chance. We should have signed him already. I think he'll head abroad personally. Well, that's it. If there is an attractive move on the table for him abroad, I've said it a million times. If he's looking at the likes of Lewis Ferguson and Scott McTominay and what they've achieved this season in Italy, you know, there's obviously going to be an opportunity there for him to think about. So let's just wait and see. Very early days in the window. Lennon Miller will be on his holidays. Or did he get called up for Scotland, actually? I can't even remember. But he'll be trying to enjoy himself briefly, I think, in the madness of what's going on at Motherwell. So we'll wait and see. What area of the team do I think is the most important to get a player in for Big Rab here? It's a number 6, a defensive midfielder. I think that a defensive midfielder is important, but I wouldn't say it's the most important. I think ultimately a striker. Even as an Adam Eder fan, you know, we need a striker. He's the only striker at the club. I don't think that Johnny Kenny is ready yet to play at the top level. So it keeps Eder as the only guy here. And it's not enough depth. I think between striker and centre-half for me, they're the two. And a defensive midfielder is still important. But, you know, if we start the season with Callum McGregor in that role, that's ultimately what's going to happen either way. So I'm fine with that. So I would say a striker and a centre-half. I obviously touched on it in my video yesterday. If I was to put things in order of importance, yeah, I would go for striker or centre-half. Hello, Joseph. Nice to see you, mate. How you doing? Dreading the transfer window because we might sell some key players. Well, it's going to be a big window in that regard. I think that we have to be prepared for the shell-shocking effect of players leaving the club. It's not nice, but it's the nature of supporting Celtic. I've got used to it by now, but it's never nice. It's never easy, and it gets harder and harder. So we just need to wait and see. We just need to wait and see. But nobody's guaranteed to leave. Even somebody like Rio Hatate, who I believe is probably off, it's still not a guarantee. He might still be here. You never know. Depends what's on the table. So we just need to be patient. On regards to the centre mid or the defensive midfielder situation, we've got Baldy Prick coming in and saying that a defensive midfielder is pivotal for our season. We cannot afford to keep playing McGregor in that role. He's like like paper trying to stop a power washer against the Rangers attack. I mean, it's been one of the glaringly obvious problems in the Derby games is the way that we've been kind of passed by in the midfield. It's just been a poor season in that regard. I think he could be doing with some support. I think that he could be doing with an option to allow him to maybe play with a bit more freedom. He's been very strapped down to that position for a few years now, dating all the way back to 2020, 2021, since Scott Brown left the club. And I think that having some support in there would be nice, whether you play him with a partner defensively or you bring on somebody else to allow him to play further up the park. McGregor's got to play mostly every minute of every game because he's the captain and he's one of the best players in the team. He's Mr. Consistent. But yeah, I agree. Listen, I'm not downplaying the importance of a defensive midfielder. We still need one, even if McGregor is still starting in that position, which he will be. Let's see. Apart from Duhan, who do you think is the most likely player that we've been linked with to happen? Michel Ange-Balak Wisha. I have a feeling that might happen. If I was to put my money on any of them, I would say Michel Ange-Balak Wisha. I could see it, and I would be happy with it. He struggled with an injury issue last year, which kind of clouded his season statistically. But I think that he'd be a good signing for the club. Adam, we've got a lot of talk about the transfer window, which is of course going to be the dominating subject of tonight's stream. But Adam's saying that he has a bad feeling we've got a very poor window on our hands. Don't trust the board at all, which is a fair enough assessment to make when you think of the board. But you know, we've got to be optimistic, and as I've always used the phrase negativity breeds negativity. And I don't want us to let the cup final cloud our judgment and cloud our optimism. Listen, that's not me saying that we should be blindly optimistic by any stretch of the imagination. There is genuine concerns when you think about how disappointing the board can be, especially going into the season with Rodgers going into his last year of the deal. How much will they feel like backing him? That's up for debate. So yeah, I can understand pessimism. I can understand it, but what I would say is try and be positive. Try and be positive. Thank you to FI Mix Scraps Mum for becoming a channel member. It is a pleasure to have you on board, and thank you so much, mate. I appreciate that. Thank you. What are your thoughts on Wiesgarden, and do you think he can still make a move to Celtic, says Robbie McMahon? I hope it happens, but I just don't see it. I think that there's another move out there for him, whether that be to the Bundesliga, whether it be to somewhere else in the continent. I just don't see it happening. I don't think the club are willing to pay 10 million for a striker after paying 9 million for either last year. And I think they should. If Wiesgarden's available for 10 million, I'd personally spend it on him. But I just don't know if the club will. I'm not saying there's no chance, though. I'm not saying there's no chance. I would like to hope that there is somewhat of a chance, Robbie. But I would be... Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Adam, mate, for the 5 memberships gifted out. You're an absolute darling. You're a legend of a boy. I love you, mate. And congratulations to anybody that picked up the memberships. If you managed to pick one up, make sure and thank Adam, because that's some fantastic positivity to bring in a time of pessimism, it seems. Let's see. Do you think a lack of rotation between Bayern and the split played some part in players running out of steam? Yeah, listen, it was a long season. It was a really long season, and a lot of football was played. And there was a lot of... I hate it. I'll say it as it is. You're wrong if you suggest that everything from Bayern onwards was downhill. It just wasn't. There was many ups. There was some great performances. In fact, I remember a couple of times saying between the Bayern game and the end of the season that I've seen some of the best football. And I think of beating Aberdeen 5-1 at Pittodrie. I think of beating Hearts at Celtic Park with a very good performance. I think of a few games that we played really, really well in. We just did run out of steam. That's what it seemed. And maybe we just couldn't find a consistency in our selections or so. I don't know. I'm not the manager at the end of the day. I'm not the head coach. I don't make these decisions. But I just think that there was a big problem with the team and their energy levels towards the end. And that's something that I hope they focus on going into next season. And it doesn't help when... Look, there's no excuses at the end of the day, right? There's no excuses for downing tools. And I don't accuse anybody of downing tools. Absolutely not. I think they gave it their all. They were very unlucky not to win a treble this year. But I think it's hard when you've not got that same motivation, especially in the league. When you're top of the league by 15, 17, 19 points, whatever it might be, it's not easy to be motivated every week to go out there and give it the same energy that you were giving it on match day 1. So it all comes part and parcel with the way that the season goes on and comes to an end. But there's so many different things that I think you can consider in there, Aidan. I really do. And thank you, Paul, by the way. Thank you for the donation, mate. You're very generous, and thank you again. All is well. I hope all is well with yourself, brother. God bless. Thank you. I appreciate the donation. Thank you to everybody who's been generous thus far in the stream. Ewan saying that he's Irish, and I appreciate what Liam Scales has given us, but he's simply not good enough and will never get better. The 3-0 game at Ibrox should have been the final nail in the coffin for him starting. I mean, I've been very vocal on my opinions of Liam Scales as of late, and I appreciate everything that he's given the club. I agree wholeheartedly with you, Ewan. I feel like you're just articulating a lot of what I've already said, articulating it very well. But I just think he has peaked. I would agree. I don't see a world in which Liam Scales delivers more than what he already has for Celtic. And I think it's time that we move him on. I don't think Brendan Rodgers will move him on. I think that he wants to keep him. I think he's very loyal to him for a reason, and he likes him. And if he stays around in this backup capacity, I'm not going to cry about it. But I just think that his project is finished. He came in a situation that should never have really been there for him, and he took full advantage of it, and fair play to him. But I feel like it's lasted a lot longer than it was meant to. I think we know his level, and his level isn't Celtic's level. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a great game, but I just think in general we've seen too many times that that's maybe not the case. Thank you, Alistair, for being a member for 8 months. Your loyalty is unmatched, brother. Lennon Miller, done deal. Trust me. Great channel. Cheer up, Adam. There you go. Cheer up, Adam, son. Well, I like your optimism, Alistair, and if you know something I don't know, then hopefully you're right. But as I said, from all I've heard, there's a potential meeting on the cards with him and Brendan Rodgers, and that's all I can say. Let's see, keep getting your questions in. Ronny's Rovers on the topic of Liam Scales says, the worst thing about Scales is that I kind of look like him and get slaughtered when he plays rotten. Sorry about that, Ronny's. Sorry. That is unfortunate, to be fair. Do you reckon signing that 17-year-old centre-back would be worth 10 million? No, absolutely not. I'll just say, I'm not going to beat around any bushes here. There is no 17-year-old on earth, Barlamin Yamal. No, listen, there is no 17-year-old that Celtic are going to spend £10 million on. That is far too much of a risk. I said that if you go back and watch my video earlier, then you'll hear me say these exact same words. But there is no way that Celtic are going to risk spending £10 million on a 17-year-old, no matter how good or bad they are, how good they might end up becoming. And even if they go on to become, even if this lad goes on to become one of the best centre-halves in Europe, we cannot turn around and go to the board, why did you not spend 10 million? 10 million on a centre-back in this country is unheard of. It's just not going to happen. If they want 10 million euros for him, they're not going to get it from Celtic. It's as simple as that. And that's why I just don't see the move happening. Unless this window and this situation with him lasts for weeks and weeks and weeks, and Crvena Zvezda need the money, they might bring it down. They might say, okay, we'll take 5 million euros. We'll take 6 million euros. We'll take 7 million. And then Celtic might entertain the conversation. But I still really doubt that. He is apparently looking really, really good. He's got all the physical attributes of a top centre-half at a very young age. You know, he's already 6'3", very well built. He looks like he's going to be physically a presence for someone. And of course, Crvena Zvezda have a great record for centre-halves. So when you look back at like Nemanja Vidic, for example, but it's just not going to be one that Celtic spend, and it shouldn't be. And I don't want to hear it. And this is the thing, right? I'm just going to, and I don't think we'll need to worry about this all that much. But if in 5 years' time this lad is somehow playing for Real Madrid and is the best centre-half in Europe, I will not, and I don't want to sound like I'm backing up the board by any stretch, but I will not hear any complaints about how Celtic didn't spend the 10 million on him, because it's just not worth it. If we spent 10 million and he came in as an absolute dud, that would be. We talk about people going after not about Adam Ida being a waste of £9 million apparently. Imagine the reaction after that. It would be a disaster. So it's just not going to happen. The board know that they're not going to do it. And I agree with Mark here. If you're good enough, you're old enough. 100%. I agree with that. But it's still, you look at the treatment that Arne Engels has got this season. You imagine this centre-half comes in and has a first game like Carl Starfelt did. They'd be demanding he was hung on the fucking cross on the Celtic way. And tell me when I'm telling lies. You know? Thank you, Joseph, for becoming a member. I appreciate it. It is a very much appreciated. Thank you for coming on board. It's good to have you, brother. And welcome to the club. And listen, I don't even think it's not. This is where I disagree, Nikaritsu. I don't think it is stingy. It'd be stingy if he was a 22-year-old, 23-year-old who's played in the Champions League, who's got the guy's played 15 games of senior football. I don't think that's stingy. I don't mean to sound like I'm backing up the board or anything here. The second half of what you're saying is true. We don't have the same funds as a European powerhouse. That's, you know, if Manchester United can go out and spend 10 million on him all they want, Celtic just can't. It's not stingy though. It's not stingy. Stingy is not the word for it. It's just far too out of our league. Just far too out of it. Let's see, what else have we got? Pile in your questions. We're still live for about another 10 minutes or so, 5 or 10 minutes. Nothing on the Celtic. It's never going to happen. They don't want it. They detest this. They detest the fans. It's not going to happen the Celtic way. It should happen, but it won't happen. And they can't even engage in a conversation with the North Cov over displays, let alone, you know, coordinating something like the Celtic end. So, aye. Thank you, Alistair. My shite button was very well worked on, and I'm glad that someone appreciates it. Thank you, brother. Let's see what else. Ryan, I don't get it at all, mate, but this club want top dollar for their own players. We won't pay 11 million for Friesgarden. He's worth it and more. Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's all about perception and what players you're going for. If you think that Friesgarden's worth it, I agree with you. I think he's worth it as well. Do the board think he's worth it? Different question. And the board need to make their money somewhere as well. So 11 million is a big fee to pay for anybody. And yeah, I don't think that they understand that the Brøndbys of the world are in the same boat as Celtic. But, you know, I'm not a transfer analyst. I'm not in charge of all of that. And I never will be, sadly. Adam, thank you for gifting another membership, mate. You're generous tonight. Stop it. You're making me all warm and fuzzy. Joseph saying there needs to be talk about fan engagement though. The board needs to get the finger out of their arse. Tifos not needing approval. Look, listen, I couldn't word it better myself, the first part. You know, there needs to be more fan engagement. I think that a lot of the guys that are in fan media are talking about trying to get in touch with the club and get coming together to even get better engagement with us, so that at least we can communicate with the club in a better manner than we get currently, because it's not good enough. It's not good enough on any level. It's not good enough with fans in the stands. It's not good enough with fan media. It's not, and I don't demand it to be good with fan media. I personally don't care. I'd rather be prioritised as a supporter before I'm prioritised as a member of fan media. I'd rather that the 60,000 people at Celtic Park are prioritised before my YouTube channel, for fuck's sake. So it's not like that. I'm ride or die on that, but there needs to be better fan engagement throughout the entirety of the club. It's been very, very poor. And the only type of engagement we end up getting is through an AGM that we get at the end of the year. And it's a waste of time because the room is filled with dads who want to go in and crack a joke about Rangers rather than people who are wanting to engage in effective dialogue. And then as soon as somebody wants to engage in effective dialogue, their question is shut down or they're removed from the fucking room. So it's just a bit annoying. It's just a bit annoying. Let's see, what else will we get? Yeah, Brendan Rodgers' recruitment has been, it's been hit or miss. Plenty of hits, plenty of misses, you know. And you know, I've seen a lot of people talking about last year's transfer window, and I'm not fully convinced on the whole last year's window was a flop. It wasn't a flop. It wasn't. A flop of a window doesn't go on to win you a double, but I just don't buy into that. I'm going to actually, I'm not want to spend too long on this, right? But I just want to bring up Celtic's transfers from last summer. And maybe I'm just an overly optimistic or overly happy supporter, right? I don't know what it is, but you know, if I go and look at the transfers from last summer, which I'm going to open up just now, there's obviously misses in there, right? But this is how people are too quick to judge after a year. But Vinny Sinsalo looking like a good signing, Kasper Schmeichel, brilliant signing, Paulo Bernardo, fine, unlucky this season. So right now we're all 3 for 3. Ida, jury is still out. I get it. 20 plus goals this season. For a backup striker, that's not that bad. Valley, bit of a miss, but never really afforded a chance. Trusty, I can get maybe the reservations there. I still think that there's maybe another year to give him a chance in there, but I would get him being more on the miss side, especially when you consider we spent £6 million. Arne Engels, I'm telling you, we'll look back at him and go, brilliant signing. Luke McCowan, good signing. Came in, he's done the job he was expected to do. Jota, very unlucky with injury. I wouldn't count that as Brendan Rodgers' recruitment anyway, because it was originally an Ange Postecoglou signing. We brought him back to the club. And Jeffrey Schlupp, Christ almighty, I'm not even going to count him in it. He was brought in as an emergency loan to plug a gap until the end of the season, for goodness sake. But when you look at this window, this window itself, generally quite good. Not amazing, but it's 1 year into it. And I don't think that it's as bad as what some people are wanting to make out, to be quite honest. But nonetheless, we'll move on. I don't want to spend too long reminiscing about former transfer windows when we're trying to talk about this transfer window. Nathan saying 1 point in Engels is before this season, he had played more than 18 games once, which was 33 and 13 starts. This season, he's played 52 and started 40. No wonder he's right around his team. Nathan, it's almost as if I've been saying that he needs a full pre-season with Celtic, that he needs that bedding in period. You're pointing out a lot of what I'm trying to point out, but in a very well statistically driven way. So I thank you for that, Nathan. But you're bang on the money. You know, I just don't get why there's so many Celtic supporters who should be supporting their own player and looking at this young lad's season and wanting to throw him under the bus. The lad is so young with such a long way to go. And you're bang on. The boy, he's only started 13 games in a season before coming to Celtic. This would have been like a bus hitting him towards the second half of the season. So, you know, I get it. I get the maybe the need to be a bit more critical and being pessimistic about things, but don't be. Be positive. Give the lad a chance. And I'm telling you, next year is going to be unbelievable. I am very confident of that. Do I think we'll go back into the Japanese market again? My answer to that sort of question has always been that the Japanese market is one that will be visited if need visited. the whole point of signing a player is about if they're good enough, not where they're coming from. So I think we dive into that market when we need to dive into that market. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Matt O'Reilly sets such a high standard to follow, man. Sometimes that's a problem more than anything else. Seemed to me as at the last game of the season, you were being outsung by Kieran Auld at full time. Ryan, do you take accountability for the deflated atmosphere at the cup final? Hands in the air. It's my fault. It's my bad. I'm so sorry, lads. I'm so sorry, Ross. Hands in the air. That's on me. Ryan, do you reckon buying that Japanese left back should be bought? Heard PSG and Everton were interested, so it'll be hard to pull off. Yeah, if PSG are in there, we have absolutely no chance. But if the PSG stuff is nonsense, then I reckon we should be in and about it. I think he looks like a player. I think he looks good, and I think he'd be a good understudy to Kieran Tierney. The whole thing is, now we're in this situation similar to where we've been with, like, let's say Callum McGregor, for example, where it's all very well and good for us to go, oh, we need a defensive midfielder, and now we go, oh, we need a backup left back. But how many players are in a position where they're like, oh, I'm happy coming in to be backup, because Kieran Tierney's got to be the starting left back. Although, at the same time, Kieran Tierney, with his fitness issues and stuff like that, maybe that allows a bit more opportunity for a young left back. I think it'd be the perfect sort of signing, but I just think it'll be tough to pull off. If anything, if PSG is anything to go by. Anyway, that does it for tonight's stream. We have hit well over the half-hour mark, so I'm going to wrap it up there so it's at least viewable for people watching back in video form. Thank you for joining me this evening. We will be here all summer. Don't worry. Apart from when I'm in Santa Ponza, then I won't be here then. But I'll be here all summer, and we'll have these streams still every week. Sometimes maybe even twice a week if there's not much to talk about. So you know what to do. Go down below, hit like, hit subscribe, get that notification bell pressed so that you know when I'm live. Until then, though, take care of yourself, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure this evening.